Hello, Clutter Warrior. Welcome. Let's talk about tax prep. Here in the US, it's getting to be that time of the year again when we need to be preparing our taxes or preparing an extension because we're not prepared to file our taxes. So I want to demystify tax prep because I think often people get stuck here because they don't exactly know what to do and because they're freaked out by paper. They don't want to make any mistakes. Particularly when we think about taxes, we've got paper, which often confounds people, and we've got money, which often terrifies people. So it's a perfect storm of terror and confusion when it comes to tax prep for many people. So you could be in a position where you are basically stuck because you're overwhelmed and scared. So let's poke a hole in that and see what we can do to create some space, get some air in there, and open things up. When we think about preparing for to organize your paperwork so you can prepare your taxes or give it to somebody who will prepare your taxes, we've got two things. We've got the papers that arrive in your home or that you would download digitally from any, banking or any places where you've had financial doings, financial transactions. Most places will be proactive and send you an email saying your tax documents are available, come and download them. Some of them will be so proactive that they will send you links to make it super easy. And even if they are not proactive, you already have in your hands from last year's tax form that you filled out a guide to what you need to pull together. Unless you have left a banking institution, wherever you pulled documents for last year is where you're going to go this year. So that's the first thing that we can do to demystify where do I go to find my documents. You go where they came from last year. You just recreate. The breadcrumbs may or may not have been left by you, but at least you know where the gingerbread house is because you were there last year to get those documents already, as well as some of them have still come in paper form into your home. Drawing the line in the sand, as we often do here in the world of decluttering your life and unstuffing your life, right, is we're going to deal with whatever historically has happened as well as setting up new systems for as we go forward. So in the past, you might have just brought all the paper in, not distinguished tax documents from other documents and just figured it's all money paper. I'm going to throw it in a box or a bin or a bag and call it money paper. Going forward, let's segregate out anything that is taxy and put it in its own little subcategory. So when those start to come in January of whatever year you're in, instead of lumping them in with all other financial documents, let's segregate them from the get-go. It will make your life much easier. As you go historically to dig your way out of however many papers you've accumulated since the first of the year now, start to isolate tax documents from regular financial documents. And you can deal with the financial documents that aren't tax related later, not a fake later, not like someday in the future, a real later. You'll make an appointment with yourself. For now, we're going to stay focused on those tax documents. Once you've segregated them, if you are doing your own taxes, you'll just need them when you go to fill out the forms online, whether you're using not QuickBooks, Intuit TurboTax or H&R Block or whatever software you're using to file your taxes. If you're giving them to a preparer, you will either pack them all up and give them to the preparer, or you might have to digitize them, scan them. Now, if you have a smartphone, you can scan them on your phone. There are several scanning apps that will, TinyScan is one of them that I've used in the past. You can certainly use an app like that. You could take a picture of it and just send the JPEGs. Or if you have a printer, a multifunction printer, you can scan them that way and get them onto your computer desktop and then share them with your financial preparer, your tax preparer. Either way, you either want them at your fingertips or you want them digitized so that they can become available to your tax preparer's fingertips. As you look at your expenses over the year, again, you're going to return to your tax form to see, did you file a Schedule C? Did you itemize your expenses, or did you not itemize your expenses? If you didn't itemize your expenses, you have a relatively easy job. You just want to track any of those major expenses that you called out on your taxes. So that could be medical expenses, it could be your housing, if you have mortgage payments, if you are running a small business, those kinds of things. You're gonna follow the form from the last year or the previous several years and use that as your template. What I do encourage you to do, and certainly you can download these all over the internet. And if you're working with a tax preparer, chances are they will send you a little handy dandy checklist of everything that you should be pulling together for them. So if you've received one of those, this would be the time to go and dust it off and start to use it. If they didn't send you one, or you do your own taxes, do a quick Google search and look for tax prep checklists. I feel confident you will find lots of hits, and you can download one that will make it very easy for you to check things off and pull things together. It does not need to be very complicated. Of course, if you haven't reconciled your checkbook in a while, there'll be a certain amount of work you need to do to get your books what we would call ready for you to do your taxes. All of this is, it's still all just math and banking. It just happens to tie into the federal government and possibly the state and the city government, and giving them what they're entitled to if all of that hasn't already been withheld, or giving them a report that they can compare to what they have withheld to possibly give you a refund or send you a bill. So we just, when we think about the demystification, it's really reducing the charge around, there's a government agency that you're interacting with, which can feel scary. If you have any issues around authority, it can be triggering that, you're about to enter into a relationship with somebody who could grab all your money out of your checking account and possibly put you in jail. All of those things are unlikely to happen. The government just wants their money. You're less likely to be able to pay them if they put you in jail. So that's not the first place that they're going, even though that might be the story that crops up for you, is right. Like, my freedom is riding on the ability for me to file my taxes correctly. They don't want to put you in jail. They want you to continue earning money so that they'll have a guaranteed source of the revenue, particularly if you don't have enough money in your checking account for them to suck it all out in one fell swoop. So let's just bring down some of that charge around, oh my God, it's the taxes and it's the government and blah, blah, blah. It's all just story. It's very simple math. And again, if you're not making millions of dollars, and if you are making millions of dollars, I feel confident that you do have somebody preparing your taxes. So if you're not making millions of dollars, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or dollars. And at any of those points, the math is 2, 3, 4 digits. It's something relatively simple to manage, not always easy, again, because of story and feelings, but relatively simple to manage. And you have on a smartphone or on a computer or even on a tablet, if you have any digital media, any digital devices available to you, there's a calculator there. So even if you're freaked out about trying to add numbers that have 4 digits in them, you have a device in your hand, easily within reach, that can do the math for you. Just like if you're in the construction world, right? They always say, measure twice, cut once. Anytime you're adding up columns of numbers, it's helpful to do the math twice. You don't want to, anything could happen by pushing the wrong number once. It's unlikely that you'll push the wrong number 2 or 3 times. So you just want to check your numbers. All of these are things that you can do to make this a simpler, easier process for you. It really doesn't need to be fraught. And zooming back out, when it comes to organizing the paper, we just returned to the organizational triangle, right? One home for everything and like with like. I mean, those are the 2 legs that we use to get organized. Something in, something out is how we stay organized. But for tax prep, we really only need the first 2 legs, one home for everything and like with like. So one home for everything, all the tax documents live together. Like with like, they all, like with like, they all live together. One home for everything, once they're all together, they only live in one place. We don't have them squirreled away in 3 or 4 different folders on our computer or our tablet. They're not in 3 or 4 different baskets or buckets in the house. It's relatively simple, and it doesn't need to be intense. So much of this work around demystifying your taxes is just like everything else when it comes to decluttering your life and simplifying your systems at home. It starts with your mindset. If you tell yourself this is hard in the present tense rather than in the past this was hard for me, if you reinforce this mindset that this is hard, this is difficult, this is intense, this freaks me out, it's pretty sure that you will be freaked out, it will be intense, it will be hard, it will be difficult, it will be intimidating. It doesn't need to be. See what you can do to frame that in the past for yourself and say, today I'm going to learn how to do something new that's taking care of myself and setting myself up not only for human success, but also financial success. I'm going to have greater understanding of my money, where it came from, where it's going. I'm going to be in greater control of how I track my expenses, how I report my expenses. It's that all of those things are actually going to bring your stress level down once you recognize that interfacing with them and doing them is always going to be better than ignoring them and then scrambling afterwards. It's like buying things on time. It seems like it's going to be cheaper until that balloon payment with all that deferred and accumulated interest comes due, and then suddenly it's a surprise. It's the same thing with time management and math. Much easier to pay, relatively speaking, the time up front to do the work methodically every month throughout the year rather than scrambling at the end of the year and playing catch up. So that's the mindset shift that is going to make all of this easier for you going forward. I hope that was helpful. That's what I want to share with you today.